Between Two Bridges, episode 104. Me and Jerry bring you up to speed, fill you in on what's to come.
You're listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. With your hosts, Joe Ferranti and Jerry Kenna. Produced by Nathan Kenna. Interviewing entrepreneurs, business operators, and investors. This episode is brought to you by Wash, because laundry shouldn't cost your time. Wash delivers. Sign up at pickupwashdeliver.com. Do the wash. Skip the hassle.
Between Two Bridges, episode 104. We're naked tonight. Not actually naked. We just don't have a guest. It's been a couple weeks.
Been 5 guests in a row.
Yeah, been busy. We've had a lot of messages come across, different things. Hopefully, by the time this airs, one of our previous guests has maybe won an election.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And we had our 100th episode. Everybody seemed to really enjoy that.
Yeah, that was a great episode. It was a lot of fun. I was glad we were hoping to get a guest tonight. We had a little scheduling conflict, so we couldn't. But I was also glad that we didn't have a guest tonight, so that we could have a little conversation with the two of us and kind of discuss our 5 guests that we had. We had some really good guests.
Yeah, I took a lot away from the 100th episode. I think getting the opportunity to sit down uninterrupted with that group of guys was like really, really powerful, implemented some change in my life, because of that.
Yeah.
I know you have.
Oh yeah.
So that right there in a nutshell is kind of why we did this podcast to start. So that felt good to have that kind of impactful episode.
It actually kind of made the whole podcast come full circle, right?
Right.
That episode is like the epitome of what this podcast was all about. It was, we'll say it for probably the 104th time, but the whole purpose of this podcast is to bring real business owners and put a spotlight on them and show what it's actually like to own a business, real stories, real struggles, real success stories, and hopefully motivate people. Hopefully make people realize that maybe the struggles that they're going through, they're not alone. Make people realize that maybe if they're going through a good time, that maybe, I think a lot of times when people are going through, definitely with me, when you're going through good times, sometimes you have a little bit of imposter syndrome. Sometimes when you're going through the good times, sometimes people think, oh, it's great and it's always going to be great. And you have to kind of prepare for, sometimes it's not always going to be great. Sometimes the bottom falls out from under you. So you have to be prepared. But having real business owners and having a podcast or having something to listen to and watch and listening to those real stories gives you real life examples. And a lot of times social media becomes a slideshow, a highlight reel of nonsense. And we wanted to bring those real life stories to the forefront for people. And that 100th episode, if you didn't listen to it, you need to go back and listen to it, because there was so much information in that hour and a half or almost 2 hours, probably 2 hours, that it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and it wasn't like marketing information or shit that like it's not instant success. It's like the hard day information that you got to hear from people that have had hard days. The thing about riding the highs and not dying in the lows is kind of true in business. You think, like you said, you get all these customers and great relationships, and then you make a change in your structure and your environment, and then you start looking at your numbers from the year before, and I did it whenever we got out of the retail space, and I'm like, these people seem like they would follow me to the end of the earth. And then whenever I asked them for me to come to their house instead of them come to my cleaners, they couldn't even manage it. So, I mean, in business, you got to be selfish sometimes, and don't do things. Don't always break your back for your customer. I hate to say that. You don't always have to go the extra mile, for certain people, because at the end of the day, I mean, I said it a couple years ago when we were going away. I was like, I shouldn't close for a week to go to the vacation with the family, right? But my justification in my head was at that moment when we're laying in the casket and our kids are sitting there, hopefully by our side crying and thinking about the good times, they're going to think about those times of vacation. They're not going to think about how dad stayed at work an extra 3 hours to press pants. So, or there was double creases in these pants, so he stopped doing what he was doing. Put your priorities. And those three guys have seemed to have done it. Mm-hmm. I mean, when Brian was saying he didn't even know where he was playing catch with his son, but he knew he was playing catch with him. And those are the things, man. Those are the moments that we as parents live for. And whatever it is in your life that's important to you, you need to enjoy those moments.
Yep. There was so much information about being able to prioritize your family and your life, but also how to scale a business.
Right.
And just so much.
SOPs were a big one,
Yeah.
So
yeah, which is a lot of what I took away from that. And I took a lot from that episode, and I took a major step back in my business, and really I've made some major changes in my life from that a few weeks ago, and made some major changes in my life and took some big steps to make some improvements, and even just in this amount of time, I've seen some improvements in workflow here, in financial situations going on. I'm not going to get into details, but major strides forward. And I think that 2026 is probably going to be one of the strongest years yet for both my companies as well as for my personal life.
Right. And I mean, we've talked about it on here, and I know we've talked about it a lot, but in business, every business has a busy season and a slow season, the ups and the pivots, and we're entering October traditionally in the dry cleaning business. Now October, November, December is a good time of year for us, and even into January. But February, after those credit card bills come due for the holidays, it seems like we come to a little bit of a halt. And with our new space, it's going to be pretty accurate also, because my wife has prepared a really beautiful retail spot inside of the dry cleaners, which is going to be great, and a lot of fantastic items. But we keep reminding ourselves constantly, hey, we're going to see some pop here. You're going to have the grand opening crowd. We're going to have light up night. We're going to have all this stuff that in the holiday season, that Q4 sales are going to look like, oh, we nailed it. But we need to just calm down for a second and realize, okay, if we get out of Q4 ahead, we just need to survive until Q4 again next year. You know what I mean? So, and I mean, there's some things throughout the summer that we'll do, but she's really gearing up for this next 90 days.
The key's going to be really to research what makes the retail space work, and different specials and different seasonal items and things like that, and really learn that game.
Right.
It's a different animal, right? Than the service industry. We live in the service world.
And I've been so for 3 weeks, I've had zero stress about, is it going to be ready? Right. Because I was doing the trim, and I'm doing the floor, and I'm doing the paint. I know I'm going to get it done. I'll burn the midnight oil. I'll get it done. Well, I was done a week ago with that kind of stuff. And now I'm hanging pictures and rails and shelves and stuff like that. And that's fun, and I'm enjoying it. But it's really on Sarah to price the items and get her inventory and display her stuff. And now I get to feel what she feels whenever I'm cutting shit in half and ripping pipes out of the walls. And so it's been fun. I mean, it's been unique, but driving here today, I'm like, man, why am I so
by the time this airs, you're going to be
open.
open.
We'll be open. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully not canceled down there yet. So Aspinwall's a different town. It's a great town. Very similar to Oakmont. So you got to watch your cuss words when you're working inside because the neighbors are real close.
Yeah.
You know, but it's going to be we're going to get a nice feel for it, what it could be. But you got to remind yourself that, in February, and it's slow. It's not because you screwed anything up. It's just the ebbs and flows. But so it's going to be, and it's one of those things where I had the ball rolling when we had our 100th episode, but I took a lot out of that episode and was like, all right, here's what we need to do from day one. Now I have an opportunity that Sarah's going to manage and run the store without any employees at the beginning. So this is our incubator to come up with our SOPs moving forward. A lot of it could be developed there and then go back to the plant and explain, But I always lived in that. I'll figure it out. Employees come to me with a problem, I got it. And it just doesn't work like that anymore.
No, you have to build the systems. You have to build the processes so that you can train the employees and turn it over, because that's the only way to scale.
Right.
Which is something we talked about a ton in the 100th episode. And, unless you're just building yourself another job, which, we've got enough of that.
Right.
And, we want to see our families at some point.
Right. And that's what I'm thinking, throughout this process, I'm like, what do we do when the kids when they're home for the summer? Because obviously we have the kids in school, they have luxury of that. It's not the school's job to raise our kids, but they will watch them from 8 to 4.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, by then that's we're looking 6 months down the road. Our system should be in place that we bring a full-time employee on there. That she can be there when that person calls off and we can work around it. But we can't go into this thinking for the next 10, 15 years, Sarah's going to be at that shop every day. It doesn't make sense.
Can't work that way.
And we can't open the next one if we work that way.
Right.
So,
but if you build the right systems, you can snowball this with employees and it can work.
Right. And then I think I said to her last week, I said, all right, you ready to do the next one? Let's find something. 6, 7 months, let's find another one. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Definitely taking a leap of faith. I didn't use my last dollar to do it, but I might have used the bank's last dollar to do it.
No, but it's a neat idea, and it's something that the other places aren't doing.
Right.
To combine a dry cleaning drop-off with a retail space, none of these places are doing that.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's always, and it's not something that I'm seeing. I didn't see it nationally either. I think the problem with people in the service business is you kind of pigeonhole yourself because you're I'm going to be the best of the best and do this, and this is what I do, and I do it good, and that's who I am. And you become an identifier of yourself when you're a small service business, But I've seen people around us pivot, their name's still on the door, but if the phone rings, they don't have to answer it.
But it makes sense, because if they're there. Right. Why can't they buy a couple things while they're there?
Yeah, one of the things we talked about the other day was my goal when people come into the cleaners is I want them in and out as fast as possible, right? Because our old retail counter, there was not a lot of room for that reason. We want people in and out. But here, I don't feel the pressure now to get them in and out because they can look around.
Right.
And if they're in a hurry, you can feel that as a service kind of worker. But they'll have other stuff to look and pick up and read and stuff, and maybe spend an extra $25, $30. So I'm noted for forgetting about kids' birthday parties. So just to be able to grab a birthday card at a drop of a notice, because they're always at 1:00 on Saturday and we're fuck, we got to run down to Target, grab a birthday card. So, and the pricing thing for me is you just got to price it. I did enough research. It should be 50% on a lot of the stuff that we're putting out. Market, it is what it is. You buy it or don't buy it.
Yeah.
So I'd be all right, buy one, get one free. I want to help everybody out, but that's why I've never been in that retail field like Sarah is. Sarah's a little more tight to the belt with that stuff. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
So by the time this airs, we'll have our big grand opening party. We're going to let the kids cut the ribbon. So never did that before. I think with the plant, I was just so tired that whenever the presses started going, I was like, I'm going to go lay on the floor in the bathroom, like, because it was such a long endeavor. But I'm looking forward to it. And I think one of the things I took away from Carrie's episode was never be shocked at who's listening. You know, I like to speak freely a lot, but you kind of like after that episode, I was kind of like, well, who was all listening out there?
Yeah. So that episode did get some wheels in motion. As of the time we're recording this, the lights have not happened yet, but it does seem like some things are in motion there. The borough has not approved anything yet, but it does seem like the state is willing to maybe come up with some funds to go toward it. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and other than lights, like, what a powerful person, you know.
Carrie?
Yeah, she's not taking no for an answer on anything.
No, she's a fighter and she's a hustler, man. She's so she got a lot of signatures on those petitions.
She's not afraid to put herself out there.
No, she works, man.
She's been involved in political races. She's working for the right causes, you know, for me.
Yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if we see her in another in the future.
Yeah, that would be, I would like to see it. People like that shouldn't be set on the back burner, you know. When people run for office, they say, hey, I'm going to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of side talk, but with her, I think she means it. And even if you don't agree with her, she's doing what she thinks best, you know, and that's all you can ask out of somebody.
Yeah. She'll work for you. Like if you go to her and say, hey, I need help with something, she'll get you with the right people and she'll try. She'll put in an effort to try to get you to the right people and try to get you help. And that's the thing too, you know, she spent time as a state rep. She served on borough council in Oakmont, and she spent time in public relations and worked with the school district and all that. And she's met a lot of people. Her position right now, she's working with a lot of people that are very powerful, and she's got a huge network.
Right.
So she's got a pretty powerful position as it is. So,
right.
You know, just based on her network, she's got a very powerful position. Not that she has any control over everything, but just, you know, I think we talked about it on the 100th episode. You're about the power of your network, right?
Show me your network and I'll show you your net worth.
Right. And, you know, not that it's really impacting her net worth so much, but as much as it you know, she does have a very, very powerful network where she can get things accomplished, where she can make a phone call and get people to listen.
Tell her to call the government and tell them to get back to work.
She should, yeah. They really do need to get back to work, which hopefully maybe by the time this episode airs, they will be back to work. We'll see. Yeah, I know there's some people holding out. I don't know if it will or not. I'll tell you one thing I will tell you, it will make my life a lot easier, because try calling the IRS during a government shutdown.
Yeah.
Because the problem with it is, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent rant, okay? For any of my clients that are listening, if you have an outstanding issue with the IRS, say you owe them money, say they think you owe them money and you're getting letters, the letters are sent,
making up words
with
in 104
by an automated system.
Right.
Okay?
So that system's still working.
That system still working. Okay. It doesn't need to get paid. Okay. So it just goes. Okay. No human is putting that in an envelope and sending it. So they are just being sent. However, when I go to make a phone call to try to call the IRS, they are either not working or they are partially laid off or furloughed. I don't know. I can't tell you. I do know that I have an issue right now that I'm working with Senator McCormick's office, and they've hit a brick wall because of this shutdown. And they're basically saying that, hey, until the shutdown's over, they can't seem to get through. So if they can't get through, I'm sure as shit not going to be able to get through. I seem to be getting a brick wall. I can't get through. I can't get anybody to help me. I did get somebody on the phone a couple weeks ago, and she's
like, I'm just here mopping the floors.
and she was like, basically was useless. Like, she was like, I don't have access to that. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have access to that? You're the IRS. You don't have access to that letter? No, I don't have access to that. I believe, and I don't have confirmation of this. I can't. This is my opinion. Don't sue me. I think she was refusing to help me.
Right.
Because it happened to be the day that their paychecks stopped. Okay, of the government shutdown. It was the day that the IRS paychecks stopped. Okay, so it was far enough into the shutdown that their pay stopped. And I believe that she was just refusing to help me.
Right.
So I'm telling you, like, right now, trying to call the IRS, if you can even get somebody on the phone, is like screaming into an empty void. So, like, if you're getting letters, just sit tight. Let's just wait for the government shutdown to be over. I promise you, there is nothing you can do right now. This sucks for everybody.
Yeah.
There's just nothing you can do.
I always, even with the last government shutdown, I always think, like, this would be a time for our leadership to look and see how many of these people we really need. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be a good time to trim the fat.
Dude, I mean, he trimmed the IRS pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, like, let me tell you, there ain't nobody there. It's bad.
Yeah.
Like, trying to call them all year has been a fucking nightmare.
It's impossible.
It's been a nightmare.
Right. And that's why, like, I would say to people, if you owe the IRS money, don't panic. You got time.
Yeah.
Like,
I get it. And I deal with them every day. So I sometimes, and it's a problem. I'm way more relaxed with it. Like, people get a letter and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll call them. And people are like, oh my God, I got it. And I'm like, I'll call them. You know, I'm way more calm about it because I deal with it every day. Right. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll deal with it. But, you know, yeah, just relax. We'll call them. We'll deal with it. If you owe it, we'll get a payment plan if you can't afford to pay it. You know, penalties sometimes can get waived. There's things you can do. Listen, honest to God, the IRS is easier to deal with than Pennsylvania.
I bet. Yeah, the PA, they like make a living off of their
Pennsylvania has gotten so bad in the recent years that if you owe Pennsylvania more than like $250 at the end of the year, you will get a penalty. And it may be $10, $12, and good luck trying to get it waived.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point where we've done it, and then getting it waived. Like, if you get an IRS penalty because you owed too much at the end of the year, so they send you a penalty because they want you to make quarterly payments, right? So say you owed the IRS $5,000 and they say, hey, you should have made estimated payments. Here's your penalty of $300. I call and say, hey, Joe owed this money. He's got a penalty. Will you do a first-time abatement? I can make that call, and they'll say, yeah, he's never had that before. We'll do that. Just make sure he does quarterly payments in the future, and no problem. And hold on for 5 to 7 minutes while I update his account. They put me on hold, and I listen to the music, and they come back. Are you still there? Yes, I'm here. Okay, he'll get a letter in the next 5 to 7 business days confirming he has a zero balance. Do you need anything else while you're on the phone? No, I'm good. Okay, thanks. Now, it was a 3-hour phone call because I had to sit on hold for 2 hours, but they waived $300. Now, they'll do that no matter how big that penalty is.
Right.
Okay. It's a phone call. The state, you have to file an appeal, and then you have to wait up to 90 days. And you have to file an appeal within a certain time frame. And if you miss that time frame, you have to pay the penalty and then file the appeal. And then you only have a certain amount of time to file that appeal. It is such bullshit. And then if you file the appeal, they'll just deny it. So we went through this process for several clients that got these penalties, and they would just deny them. So it got to the point where I'd get these clients and be like, hey, I got this penalty for $40 because I owed them money. And I'm like, it's $40, man. And it's because you owed them $100 or you owed them $300. Pay it.
Yeah.
It's not worth, I'm going to file an appeal. It's going to take me, 45 minutes. It's going to take me probably an hour to do this appeal to save you $40. It's not worth my time. You're not going to be able to do this on your own. They're going to deny the goddamn thing anyway. Just pay the $40.
Yeah, and that's just like one part of the big wheel of the government. I mean, I guess what I'm seeing a lot online is the SNAP benefits have dried up.
Yep.
Which to me, I don't think that someone's sitting there writing SNAP checks out. So I think that's probably automated at this point.
I'm sure it's automated, but it's part of the government shutdown, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, I think it's more of the
PA. Is that a PA budget thing or is that federal?
I think that has more to do with the people that are arguing behind the scenes are like, well, we're not going to let the benefits go out because then we'll win in the court of public opinion. Mm. So I think that like we're all being held accountable and all held hostage by this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all they are all doing right now is going on social media and blaming each other for this. And it's if it wasn't so infuriating, it'd be comical. Like I've seen Shapiro on Facebook throwing shots at Republicans about the government shutdown, which I think is kind of funny because PA doesn't even have a budget.
Right.
It's like
I guess that's too soon for that joke. I was going to say those that live in houses getting mocked off cocktailed.
Yeah. What happened there?
Well, that happened, a year ago? Some guy derangement just went there and started lighting the governor's mansion on fire.
Was he in the house?
Yeah, I do believe so.
I saw that video. How did that dude get in that house?
I don't know if he broke a window and just went in.
Where was the security?
Yeah, he caused a lot of damage.
Right. That dude was in the house for a while.
Yeah.
You'd think that think security would have heard that.
I don't know.
Sounds a little weird to me.
Anything you see on the news sounds a little weird to me. I don't want to put my foil hat on for this episode, but
yeah, we should probably start wearing foil hats on these episodes.
But yeah, so it was nice to see a parent like Carrie. Essentially that's her main role right now. She has a job and she's been in politics, but
she does it all, man.
Yeah, she's a mom, and she's fighting for her kids and fighting for what she thinks is right. And she wanted to come on here and talk about it, and I'm glad she did. Then I took one off. I took off episode 101.
Rita, that was a crazy story, man.
Yeah, it was a good
Rita. Yeah, so that was a fun one, man. So Rita was an interesting story. That was intense. So Rita was a fun episode to do. Miss having you here. But yeah, Rita's story was wild, man.
Full disclosure, I came in with about 25 minutes left in that episode and she was fired up.
She was fired up.
She wanted to, I think if you would have let her stand on this coffee table to tell that story, she would have.
She would have, yeah. Yeah. So I knew about that story while it was all still going on. I kind of got the synopsis of what was going on, and she wanted to be able to tell her story. And part of the deal whenever she took her settlement at the end was that she wanted to be able to tell her story on the podcast. So I'm glad she stuck to that gun and she was able to come tell her story. It's important. I've been in the property management game and the construction game and the real estate game. And it's scary to me how many people are out there, both on the consumer side and the construction side, that don't know the rules about taking a deposit and how, having a contract and doing business between a contractor and a consumer, and I'm in the business, right? first of all, and I'm not anymore because I sold my shares of the property management company. So I no longer, but I was at one point a licensed contractor because I owned part of a property management company, and I had a construction company that did work for my property management company. So I had to know all those rules, right?
Right.
So I was in the business, and I've literally had contractors come up to me and ask me for a 50% deposit. And I'm like, bro, you're not allowed to ask me for that.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? And I'm like, you're a licensed contractor and you don't know that you're not allowed to ask me for a 50% deposit. Do you ask people for a 50% deposit very often? Like you don't even need to buy materials. This is just a labor job. Like, what are you doing? If you're a contractor, you should know that.
Right.
You're going to get yourself in a jam.
Well, you asked the wrong person.
Right.
Yeah.
And these are people that like I know the guy, so I wasn't being a dick.
Right.
I'm just like, hey, don't do that to the wrong guy.
Right.
Because you tell that to the wrong homeowner that knows the rules, you're going to get yourself in a jackpot. So, but consumers don't know the rules, but that's what ends up happening. You have a consumer that doesn't know the difference. They give that guy a 50% deposit, then you don't hear from him again. And I've been involved in a lot of these situations. I have a woman that works for me that gave a deposit to a contractor for some concrete work, and he never showed up. And then he kept giving excuses over and over again. And he ripped her off for I want to say it was $2,500, but I got involved because I was Facebook friends with him and I've dealt with him before. I never hired him for anything, but he's part of the same network because I work with these guys a lot.
Right.
And I got involved. We ended up getting her money back, but he just kept giving excuses, and my truck broke down, then he totaled his truck, and it's just bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. I have COVID. I mean, there's always some excuse of why he's not going to show up for a job. And then, he's just, these guys, a lot of times these guys rob Peter to pay Paul. They're stealing deposits from this customer to pay for the job that they didn't finish from the last. And it's a problem.
Yeah.
And, and that's honestly, I've worked with contractors that are honest. And it's not hard to get yourself in a situation where you do that because you got yourself behind and you end up having to do that just to get finished with a job because you got yourself fucked up.
Yeah.
Because you ran over and now you feel bad. You can't ask the customer for more money. You went over budget because you fucked up and you can't ask for more money. So you got to take this guy's deposit to finish this job. And you can't start this job now because you don't have that guy's deposit anymore. So now you got to get this guy's deposit to start this guy's job. And now you're all fucked up.
Well, and that goes with the highs and lows. It's probably the guy starting out gets,
Yeah.
Like contractors, generals, like they'll a lot of times work for family first, right?
Right.
So you're going to do like the bathroom for Aunt Ninny and you're going to do the kitchen for Bobby down the street. So you're like, oh, this is great. I'm rolling in this money. I got all this work. When that pipeline dries up,
right?
Not a lot of these guys are advertising, don't have a name on their truck. They got a business card, call Tim,
Yeah.
So your pipeline dries up and then that's when you're over your skis. Now you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. That's what happens when that can happen to an honest guy.
Right.
On the flip side, you've got guys that are scumbags. And that's what happened with Rita.
Right.
That guy was a scumbag and he was taking people's money and he was
making a career
out of them. And it's a shame, but she was having none of it. And she chased that guy down and she found him. And yeah, it was a wild story and she got him. And she took great pleasure in watching him pay the price and seeing him in handcuffs and a jumpsuit. And I wouldn't mess with her.
Yeah.
But she got her vengeance. She got her money back. But as you heard in the podcast, it wasn't about the money.
Nah.
She just wanted to wanted to make sure that he paid the price for his crimes, and I think he probably didn't really even pay the price for all of his crimes, because I think there was much more that he got away with. But hopefully he learned a lesson, and maybe he won't do it in the future. But who knows?
Yeah, I hope somebody listens to the podcast and is like, you know what? I'm gonna go after this motherfucker too.
I mean, she named names. Hopefully, if nothing else, people listen to that podcast, or maybe Google that guy, and the podcast pops up, and they're like, "Oh, wait, what's this podcast about this guy?" And they listen and think, "Oh shit, I'm not going to hire that guy."
Right.
I mean, there's a whole podcast about him being in a green jumpsuit, walked into that magistrate about all the money he stole, and I think if nothing else, that's a pretty good expose on his morality.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening. And now a brief word from our sponsor. You've got a full plate. Kids, meetings, workouts, side hustles. There's better things to do than laundry. Introducing Wash, laundry reimagined for the modern world. Schedule your pickup in seconds via the convenient web app. Wash picks up your clothes, cleans with care, and brings them back fresh and ready to wear. But it's more than garments. From bedding and table linens to shoes, hats, purses, and more. Wash handles all your life's fabric, leaving you more time to do you. Visit pickupwashdeliver.com and see how convenient it can be to do the wash. And now, back to the show.
So then after her episode, we had Nick on, and Nick, has a pretty unique career. I forgot about his news days in Georgia. Mm-hmm. I think what he does for his 9 to 5 is pretty unique. Who would have thought a public utility company needs a PR person, But, they are in the community. And he talked about that. I liked when he said about putting deposits into good faith, and that's what they do at People's Gas, and Duquesne Light's similar. Like, I always wondered why they'd sponsor like the home show. Like Duquesne Light sponsors the home show. It's like, do we really have an option?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Based on the way they talk to you and you call them on the phone, you really wouldn't think they give two shits what you think of them. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They do spend a lot of money in marketing and
right.
PR, and
I always think, couldn't they just lower my electric bill?
Yeah, they probably could. They do sponsor a lot of events, and
yeah, I mean, they do advertising on TV. I'm like, it's like if you go and you rent an apartment, it's not like you're like, oh, dude, I'm gonna call Duquesne Light. They had that sweet ad.
There's no competition. I mean, I guess in electric there's competition now.
Well, not in you're gonna pay Duquesne Light no matter what.
Yeah, there's
distribution you're paying for.
Right.
Now the consumer, it's all bullshit too. I mean,
it is. I never understood it, because you end up with these other companies, but I've done the math, and you end up paying more.
Yeah, you end up getting screwed at some point.
Yeah.
If electric price comes down,
they average it out,
right?
But then you end up paying more.
I got hosed with it with the gas.
Yeah.
And energy. I was locked into a consortium. The consortium would buy for you. So they would figure out when gas was at the lowest, they'd buy a bunch of it.
Right.
And then they never hit their mark. And by the time 2 months out of that purchase, you were locked in for another 2 months, and it was a fucking mess.
Yeah. You gotta be careful with that stuff. All those electric supplier companies that call you, and the power suppliers, you just be very cautious of that, because a lot of that shit's bullshit.
Yeah, buyer beware with that shit.
Yeah, be very careful with that.
Even if you save $100 1 month, you're gonna pay for it in the long run.
If it sounds too good to be true,
it usually is.
Yeah. I talk to a lot of clients about solar panels, about that same kind of thing. All these guys going door to door with their fucking Segways, talking about solar panels, and it's going to save me all this money. And I'm like, yeah, it's not.
I know some people that have done it, and I think that it would save you money if you have enough money to just buy, say it's $15,000, and you want to spend $15,000 worth of improvements into your house and you buy them, now you'll eventually save money. But if you got to go through their program
and finance it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think, I sat down with a client one time, and he's actually, he was an engineer. So it was interesting because he did all this, like he did some serious math. And we went through his math, and I did the financial side of it, and he did the engineering side of it. And we actually did an analysis on the savings and determined that it was going to work out to be about the same. The tax savings, it helped, but it basically was, instead of paying the electric bill, he was basically just paying for the financing.
Right.
So instead of paying Duquesne Light, he was just paying the financing bill.
Yeah. I know somebody that has them, and they'll brag and say, my electric bill was $17.
Yeah, but
like, okay, but you sent $280 to the solar company.
Right. I think that's the case from what his finding was in his engineered analysis. So if you're listening to this and you're in Southern California, remember this. His analysis was based on Western Pennsylvania.
Right.
If you live in Pittsburgh, our analysis was it really doesn't pay for itself here. Right. Now, if you live in a city, in a set part of this country where you get a ton of sunlight, then yeah, it probably is going to be very beneficial because you could generate enough power with those solar panels that it could actually be profitable.
And sell it back, yeah.
You could sell it back to them. But here in Western Pennsylvania, we just don't get enough sun.
Yeah, I'm thinking about I was going to put a water turbine on the roof of my house.
We get enough fucking rain.
Although we did have a dry summer.
We did.
Yeah, I mean, you think about a day like today, there was zero sunlight.
Right.
And this time of year, it's dark at 5 o'clock.
Right.
So.
Yeah, there's just not enough sun here. So you basically are just, instead of sending the money to Duquesne Light, you're sending it to the finance company that you're financing the solar panels through. And without the tax credit, it doesn't make any sense.
And I don't think it generates enough to run your whole house anyway.
No, it basically just got it down to a couple bucks.
Right. So if the power goes out, it's not like it's not going to be a generator for you.
No, it's not feeding it back.
Yeah.
No, it's not storing any power.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But so we learned a little bit. I mean, you've obviously gone down that road that Nick's kind of on now, and he's in the thick of it. 1 week. So this will be out when that results are out.
Yeah. So we'll see when this drops. The results will be out. So we'll see what happens. If you're listening to this, you'll know whether or not he won or not. So hopefully he'll be victorious.
Yeah. If anything, he does have the best interest, for the.
He does. He really does care about the community, about the school district. He really does care about the future of the school district. And,
right.
I think that there's some people in the towns that are painting him out to be something he's not. And it's not fair. He's a good man, and I think he really does care a lot about the town.
And that's my fear with any time you get somebody like that, like he lost the last election. If he doesn't win now, he might never go back into it, and you lose an asset. You lose somebody that really cared.
Well, I'm an example of that.
Yeah.
I lost, and I really have no interest in running again. And maybe when I retire and have nothing else better to do,
yell at everybody, get off your lawn.
Right.
But
I don't know if I'll do it then either.
So then we had Dan Sherling on, which it turns out I knew his father. He was a customer of mine on McKnight Road, small world.
Small world.
But now Sarah and I we're gonna be customers of his.
Yeah, actually Amber and I joined as well. Yeah, AJ did.
We didn't do like anything crazy. We just did the core, like
you did the core one.
Yeah.
We did the middle one.
Yeah. I think when I talked to him about it, I said I think our schedules, our personal lives, just we'd love to think, I'll use it 8 times a month, but I won't.
So my thought of it was, since it's not 8 visits, it's 8 things.
Right.
And I feel like I might go there and be like, well, I want to do this, and this, or this and this. You know what I mean? So when I talked to him, I thought, I'm going to do the middle one because that VIP week allows us, we can do anything we want. We can go down, we can go up.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
change
thinking
it.
too.
So when we go there, we can decide, let's go up. There's no obligation now. We don't have to commit to anything. We don't have to pay anything.
Right.
So we figured, let's sign up. It locks in the price so we can change it up until they open. And lock in that whatever the price is, the VIP price. It doesn't change. It doesn't go to retail price until they open. So we can make that change all the way up until then. So whatever, regardless, we can make that change. But we wanted to lock in at least something. So we did sign up.
I mostly wanted to get locked in for the discount on the IV drip because there's a lot of Mondays that are going to be coming up with these Steelers the way they're playing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm going to need 2 banana bags to get going.
Yeah.
I mean, last Sunday, obviously they'll be playing the Colts we're talking about the Green Bay game. So like the first half, I'm like, cool, man, we're good. Like, just have an icy light, chill out, sit on the couch, watch the game.
I was very impressed on how they were playing on the first half. I was like, they're actually, I was disappointed in the offense a little bit. I'm like, all right, well, Boswell's going to carry this team, I guess. Typical
Steeler performance,
but at least the defense is holding them okay. And then that second half, bro.
Dude, so we worked up until like 8 o'clock down at the shop, headed home. I stopped to grab a 15-pack because I didn't know if I had beer at home. So I was like, I'll grab a case of beer, whatever. I ended up having 1 beer in the fridge. Well, I drank 1 beer for the whole first half. I was like, this is great.
You had a 30-pack in the
I
second
drank 12 beers in the second half, dude.
Well, I think they had 300 yards or something. Green Bay had like 300 yards in the second half.
It was nuts. Yeah, we were up. They had 7 points. Anyway, whatever. Because they'll probably, by the time this airs, they'll probably beat the Colts 41-7.
No, we're going to get destroyed by the Colts.
I don't know, man.
No, it's going to be like 100-3.
Every other sport's fixed. Why wouldn't the NFL be fixed?
No, it's bullshit. We're going to get, Jonathan Taylor is going to get 300 yards. It's going to be a fucking
bloodbath. By the end of the game, I'm sending you T-shirts that say our defensive coordinator's never had a losing season. It's
going to be a fucking bloodbath.
But if they do lose to the Colts, then I think they'll fire Terrell Austin just like they did Matt Canada. Just to
Did they fire Matt Canada midseason?
Yeah.
I hope they do.
It's not Terrell Austin's fault, but
yes, it is.
Yeah,
and Tomlin.
Yeah, they don't make changes, but it's a shame to see it because they have the talent, So when you see a team paying $170 million on one side of the ball and not being good, that's a coaching problem.
I know that. Listen, we have a lot of great talent. I'm hesitant to say this on our podcast, but Tomlin has got to go.
Yeah.
And so does Terrell Austin.
And I don't think it's a dig at Tomlin anymore. Like if you would have said that 2 years removed from winning a Super Bowl, I think you were a homer.
Yeah. No, that wouldn't have been fair.
But I think after
2025.
Now it's early yet in the season, but I think that if they do the same thing, sneak into the playoffs, lose the playoff game. It's been 12 years. I mean, we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of them winning the Super Bowl in 2005,
It's the same story every season.
I almost think that if it doesn't pan out this year, that Tomlin might decide to go. Because
why would he go?
I know, but he has that line where he, like when we were winning all those rushing titles and stuff and talking about running the football. He said, I don't walk past 6 rushing titles on my way to my office. And he needs to know that the standard is a standard. At some point,
they don't make any adjustments. They get, it's so bad.
Yeah. So it's TBD on the Steelers. I mean, I'm a homer, and I'm thinking this is the week they turn around, they find something.
So this is going to air after the Colts game. I'm making my prediction that we're going to get smoked by the Colts. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. I think November does something to football. I think, the truth comes out in November. So we'll know after that game. If the Colts are legit, they're going to be legit the rest of the year, I would say.
We're going to get smoked.
Smoked. I don't know.
Everybody's talking about, the Steelers are going to be the team to beat in the AFC North. Not only are we going to get smoked by the Colts, I don't know that we're going to win the AFC North.
Yeah. Ravens got Lamar back. as we're recording this,
I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens make a massive comeback and end up winning the AFC
they
North.
said Lamar Jackson ordered all the ping pong tables out of the locker room. He means business.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens end up winning the AFC North. They go from 1-5 all the way back to winning the AFC North.
Their defense is putrid too.
We spend more money. We're 30th in the league, and we spend more money than everybody else in the league.
The good news is if the Steelers don't win the Super Bowl, Degree Wellness opens in February. So I already got something to look forward to.
We're going to need it.
And yes, I mean, but I ran into him at SIP afterwards on Friday, the following day.
Damn,
and they had a little booth set up, and they have a lot of energy they're putting into that. And I envy that because like I'd love to have that energy to put into like our new location, but that's part of that franchise thing,
Yeah, but you do. You have a...
Well, the marketing side of it.
Yeah.
I'm putting a ton of energy into it, but it's in different avenues.
The way
they market...
They're spending a lot of money on advertising too, I think.
Yeah, because I mean they have the auto tax and all that adds up, but I think that comes from the franchise,
Yeah, I think I've been getting a lot of ads too.
Right, and we talked about that franchise, and we talked about it with One Tom. When you sign up for that, you're paying for all that. That's part of that fee. So if you look at it like on my aspect, like say I put a budget on, say I said $4,000 to advertise this month for the new location. Mm-hmm. As a small business owner, you don't know where to direct that money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I could spend that money and you might never even see an ad. But with them, they're probably in that nut. There's money directed towards advertising, and it benefits Degree,
right?
And it benefits them. And there's a coach there to say, this is where we're going to spend the money.
Yeah.
Because they're, to use a Tomlinism, they're been there, done that kind of guys. You know what I mean? I find it pretty cool though. Our point of sale obviously keeps a record of like how many customers we've had. And we've had the point of sale for quite a bit. But we're like 4 new customers away from hitting 10,000 customers.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, I mean, obviously people come and go, but that's a big number.
Yeah.
To say like, I mean, we could just lie like McDonald's, but we've served 1 billion cheeseburgers. So if I have 10,000 customers and average, they bring me like 2-3 shirts, I've 100 million shirts we've done. So, but yeah, so I'm excited to see that. That's cool because it's in my neck of the woods. We've reached out to their neighbor, hopefully to be a potential guest on here. I know that like I joke about my health, but believe me, I'm a lot more healthy than I lead to be. You know what I mean? I think about it when you talk about your struggles and your plateaus, and I'm like, I'm very fortunate to just be like 190 pounds for the last 10 years and do whatever the fuck I want, but cut down on the meal sizes as I go older, like, man, I want to eat a whole Jersey Mike's hoagie, but I get the mini, dude, and I look forward to what he's got.
You get the little mini one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get 6 of them. I can't decide what I want. You give me a 3, 9, and 7 and all. No. Yeah, I started to realize as I got older, I didn't need to I felt like shit. My biggest thing though is when I'm in a hurry, like I'm a big sucker for Chick-fil-A fries. So like I just go through the drive-thru and get 2 large Chick-fil-A fries, and I'm like, fuck, that's not good for you. Yeah. I mean, they're good. They have a great business model, but they're not in the wellness brand.
Yeah.
So, but I think that I've acquired a allergic reaction later in life to peanut butter. So
Chick-fil-A fries are fried in peanut oil.
I know. And that's what makes me think. Because like every time I eat them, I get like a little micro dose of anaphylactic shock.
Yeah, that's not good.
And I think what it was is I used to pick on our buddy Pat Briney about being allergic to peanut butter. So I think what we're going to do in 5 years from now, I'm going to be completely allergic and I'm going to make him eat peanut butter and he's not going to be allergic at all.
Did you know, I just saw this thing, and I don't know how old this video was, but kind of going to Dan. So we talked a little bit on the last episode about how little distrust in the whole wellness thing, how a lot of the information that's out there about what's healthy and what's not healthy is as far as diet. So for a long time, pediatricians would say to serve infants peanut butter because it would curb peanut allergies. And then they said, no, not to do that. Stop. And then recently, studies are showing that during the period of time that they stopped doing that, peanut allergies went through the roof.
Yeah.
Like hundreds of percentage points through the roof. And they started doing that again, and peanut allergies are down like 80% since they started giving infants peanut butter again.
Yeah, my grandfather, I could tell this story because he's no longer with us, but my grandfather, his trick to like getting a crying baby or a yapping mouth kid to shut up was the same concept as a dog. He would give you a spoonful of peanut butter with maple syrup on it, and so now you'd be like licking the roof of your mouth like a dog. But I'm like, I can't believe that was like, okay.
Yeah, our pediatrician, whenever my kids were little, both of them, there was two different methods, but it was both, they said to give him peanut butter. When Vinny was young, they said to take peanut butter and put it on your finger, but just enough that it looked like your finger was like dirty, and then just put it on your finger and just let him lick it off. And then when Ainsley was little,
they're like, just give her a Reese cup.
they said to put it in a bowl and put hot water in it until it was like super liquidy soupy, and then feed it to her. But both of them were told that as like very young, to feed it to them.
Yeah.
And it would, start out very small and see if they had any sort of reaction first. And as long as there was no reaction, to feed it to them.
Yeah.
And neither one of my kids have any sort of reaction. Now my niece does have a peanut allergy, but not because they didn't try. They did try, but does have it. And there is still, even if you do try to expose them to it early, you do still have that risk of having that allergy. But studies are showing that early exposure to peanuts helps curb that allergy, where there were the FDA and the Pediatric Institute for years was saying, do not expose children to peanuts at a certain age because of peanut allergies. And now they're saying, oh, well, not exposing them to that was actually causing peanut allergies.
Well, it's obviously, obviously an increased awareness of it, because, your kids, you don't send birthday snacks in anymore.
Right.
You just don't.
They're not allowed.
Because, God forbid, I don't know. My kids are big into, and all kids are big into the 6, 7,
Yeah.
But I'm like, my reaction to that is I laugh. And then I guess their answer is like 4 1's another one. They're just like picking up random number combinations.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, dude, when we were kids, it was like 316 Stone Cold Steve Austin chugging beers on TV.
Yeah.
So I laugh at all these things with my generation, walk to school. I'm like, you know what? We had our 6, 7, but that dude was beating the shit out of someone and chugging beers after.
Yeah.
So that'll probably fade out after Christmas. Santa Claus and the elf on the shelf are going to put an end to 6, 7 in multiple households. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this next guest and talking a little bit more about, the wellness journey a little bit. I'm never going to do a New Year's resolution because that just puts too much pressure on yourself. And that's pretty much caught us up. We talked about some stuff off air, and it's a lot of information for you fuckers out there. We don't know how much you can handle.
Yeah, this is good.
So
just glad. This is what we wanted to do, a little wrap up of everybody. It was 5 weeks of guests, and I think we have a guest coming next week. So we have another one coming, and we're just going to keep guests rolling. I think we've had some good rolling.
Right. And I wanted to say that when you were talking about, her name's
Rita.
When you were talking about Rita doesn't necessarily own her own business. She's an investor and a real estate agent, right? Mm-hmm. But if you have a story like that, or you have a unique story about, your grandfather's business that took off in the 80s or whatever.
We want to just talk to interesting people. We want to hear your story.
I would like to have somebody reach out to us about the allergic stuff, allergies. Yeah. Like to learn a little more about that, because I'm getting to the point where I want people off my lawn and think kids nowadays are just soft.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think, we're definitely open to, we want to hear from, if we want guests. So if you are an interesting person, if you know an interesting person, you think they want to sit on the couch and, reach out for sure. The email address is info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Between2bridgespodcast.com. The email address will be on will be below. So reach out for sure if you want to be on the podcast, or if you know somebody that'd be interesting, reach out. So
yep. Tell your story. It's been fun, man. All right. Thanks, guys.
See you next week.
Love you, bud.
Love you too, bud.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Like and subscribe, and leave us a rating and review. You can join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. You can email the show at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Until next time, make it till you rake it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'm right now over 23 hours into a 72-hour fast that me and AJ and John Kuhn are doing.
I thought about doing a fucking butt cleanse one time, and I was like, man.